Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Li Wei Tai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, a brand new Tzu Chi recycling station opens in Indonesia's popular city of Medan to encourage more locals to integrate environmentalism into their lives. We bring you an in-depth feature on the impact of overfishing in the world and how at this rate there will be no fish left in the world by the middle of the century. Later, rice noodles are a traditional favorite in Taiwan, and today we look behind the scenes of a factory that makes these noodles the old way, by hand. First up, we go to Medan, a city with a population of over 2 million in North Sumatra, Indonesia. Medan has a garbage problem that has reached crisis level. To combat the problem in the Tambun area of Medan, Tzu Chi has been raising awareness about recycling and has recently opened a 3-story recycling station.
With a population of over 2 million, garbage can be seen in all directions in Medan City. Close to 150,000 people live in the Tambun district. A poor garbage management system will create many problems.
The garbage problem gives people headaches. We've been focusing on this issue for a long time, and the Medan city mayor keeps reminding us that we have to deal with the garbage.
In Tambun, Tzu Chi established a 3-story high recycling station to encourage more people to recycle and reduce the amount of litter.
Actually, in Banten, Timor, people began collecting recyclables door by door more than a year ago, which greatly reduced the amount of litter. With the recycling station, I hope volunteers and residents will be brought closer together.
It's important to promote environmental protection. Whether in a big city or small village, residents should care for the environment and not litter. I hope many more places can set up recycling stations.
Local residents, even one who is ill, come out to enthusiastically support the recycling station on its opening day. Let's listen to Master Zheng Yan and understand that loving and protecting the earth begins with oneself. The residents put their 2 hands together and focus minds and hearts on making a good and beautiful earth for the future.
Over to Japan, after the catastrophic March 11th earthquake and tsunami that claimed over 15,000 lives, Tzu Chi volunteers gathered donations from around the world and delivered over $73 million into the hands of disaster victims in the forms of consolation money and relief packages. In remembrance of the volunteers' hard work, Tokyo's Tzu Chi office put together a March 11th disaster relief photo exhibition. Here's more. In Japan, Tzu Chi's 3/11 disaster relief photo exhibition opens in Tokyo on April 18th.
Within an hour of the earthquake on March 11, Tzu Chi's founder, Master Zheng Yan, established an emergency response center in Hualien.
Government officials and other volunteer groups come to join the event, as well as the media, such as Asahi newspaper. In the hall, hundreds of photos capturing truth, goodness, and beauty are shown.
Here in this exhibition hall, Tzu Chi volunteers can be seen in many photos, which brings the event to life.
After March 11, 2011, Tzu Chi volunteers gathered love from 39 countries around the world and delivered it to Japan's decimated northeast. The unity of the global village is wonderful.
The support and love delivered by Tzu Chi gave the victims a lot of courage and boosted their morale.
By pulling our love together, we were able to deliver love from Tokyo into the disaster areas.
In this photo, a volunteer bowed at 90 degrees to deliver consolation money to a disaster victim. Shinichi Ito was present when the photo was taken. Though he had lost all his belongings to the tsunami as well, he was inspired to give what little he had on him to help others who were less fortunate.
I only want to say that I came to reciprocate the aid I received from Taiwan.
A day before the exhibition, Mr. Ito took a red-eye bus of over 8 hours from Iwate Prefecture to arrive in Tokyo to serve as a guide.
While traveling here on the bus, I reflected about the past, what had happened since the earthquake and the disaster relief. So that was what was on my mind on the way here to Tokyo.
The very next day, Mr. Ito would fly to Tzu Chi's homeland in Taiwan to meet with Master Zheng Yan to thank her personally. Though a disaster like this is hard to bear, it has also brought the people of the world closer together.
Love continues to circulate at the exhibition hall. Outside, we're right in the middle of downtown Tokyo. Residents can attend the event free of charge. Hopefully, more will be inspired to walk the Bodhisattva path as well.
Overfishing is quickly depleting the oceans, and if we don't exercise restraint, there might be no fish left by year 2048. As Taiwan ranks 4th globally in terms of fish consumption per person, Academia Sinica's Biodiversity Research Center is promoting a documentary called The End of the Line to help educate the public on the seriousness of the environmental problem.
The oceans we used to know were full of life, with schools of fish swimming freely. But since 1950, the oceans have been slowly drained of life by the worst predators in history, humans. The End of Line is a documentary that covers the topic of overfishing. Jointly produced by NGOs in America and Europe and filmed over a period of more than 2 years. The film is available in Taiwan, thanks to the Biodiversity Research Center of Academia Sinica.
Scientists set out to find why fish populations have depleted so quickly, and the answer was very simple: overfishing. That's one of the main reasons. The other is the destruction of habitats, which has to do with how we fish.
Scientists estimate that annually, the global low-lining industry sets 1.4 billion hooks to catch fish. The lines are long enough to wrap around the Earth 550 times. The world's largest trawling net is big enough to envelop 13 Boeing 737 airplanes. Of course, high-tech scanners and sonar make sure no fish can escape. It is estimated that in just half a century, the world's fish population has been reduced by 90%. We may have no fish to eat by 2048.
Recently, the international community has been setting up marine reserves to establish protected zones where fish are allowed to breed and live. With a proper habitat and food supply, they will eventually repopulate and their numbers will return to normal.
Will humans be smart enough to save their oceans before it is too late? As stated in the documentary, knowledge is power, and we can make changes to our life with knowledge. Not only does the global fishing industry have to be reformed, but marine reserves need to be properly cared for, and consumers must make a conscious choice about what they eat and how much they eat, so that there will be plenty of fish for everyone.
Recycling is one of the quickest ways to help protect the future of the Earth. In the next story, we meet a mother and son pair from New Taipei City's Sanxia district who are both recycling volunteers. The son, Su Yujie, is mentally challenged, but his mother, Lin Yueqiu, did not give up on him. She started taking him to sort recyclables several years ago, an activity which helped him become more independent. Suffering from arrested development, Su Yujie sorts recyclables here every day. His mother, Lin Yueqiu, has seen her son improve.
He couldn't take the bus before, you had to take him, but now he can take it here and back. He volunteers until 2 or 3 before going. All the volunteers help him and sometimes take him to the bus, but they don't have to do that now. He can go alone, so he's made a lot of progress.
In addition to her son, Lin Yueqiu has also improved.
If you recycle in your spare time, you won't go shopping and buy things. So without thinking about it, you save a lot of cash.
It is Wholesale Recycling Day at Sanxia Environmental Education Station. Among the volunteers are students from Taipei University.
This color and this color are different. It goes to one side.
Normally, after finishing a drink, I toss it away, sometimes without washing it. If there is a bin, I throw it in. Now I know there is much more to do. I think you have to practice environmentalism at the source, so everyone can love the earth.
The volunteer's diligence seems to have rubbed off on this dog, which picks up plastic straps in its mouth.
If it's PE, you can poke a hole in it. When it rips, it has a serrated edge.
Because it's convenient to take these plastic bags, and we are used to using them, you don't realize how many you use. I hope when I use them, I can think about whether I should take one or not, or when I go out, I can take a shopping bag with me.
At the environmental station, Yu Jie has come out of his shell, and these young students are learning a valuable lesson in how to love the world. In Taichung, 72-year-old recycling volunteer Zheng Wanmei lost her husband at the age of 30 and had to raise her 3 children by working as a maid with the help of financial support from overseas donors. To repay the kindness she received over the years, the grateful senior still works to make a living, not for herself, but for those who are less fortunate. Widowed at the age of 30, Zheng Wanmei began working as a domestic helper. It's surprising how Wanmei still insists on working when all 3 of her children have jobs to support her.
What little money I make can be used to help others. This is something I want to do, and I'm happy with my choice.
With a passion for giving, after more than 2 hours of household maintenance, Wanmei moves on to recycling.
I used to do so much laundry by hand that my nails were virtually washed away. My fingers festered. It was extremely painful. My nails have gone black now. From recycling maybe, I don't know.
Wanmei's weathered and crooked fingers are evidence of a tough life. Taking out well-kept photographs, Wanmei recounts her life story. When she lost her husband to a road accident at the age of 30, strangers came forth to offer help.
I didn't want to accept the help, but he told me that I needed it and that later, when I'm doing better, I could help others.
After her husband passed on, Wanmei was able to raise her 3 young children with sponsorship from overseas. The love that was shown to them in the hardest of times was something that Wanmei longed to reciprocate. Zhong Yueying lives next door to Wanmei and often brings her leftovers from the eatery she works for, as the old woman would rather use all her time to make money to help others than to look after her own basic needs.
I don't cook, I just heat these up. It can last me 2 meals without rice. Auntie helps us out very often. When I come to her to borrow money, she never gives me a payback date, but rather leaves it up to me to pay her back when I have the means.
Working her aged body to donate to charity and support DaAi TV, Wanmei is even giving away her old age pension to help the needy. And despite suffering from a painful osteophyte, Wanmei resolutely took part in the Water Repentance musical last year. Getting up at 5 every morning and going to bed at midnight, Wanmei has a commitment to doing good that is an outstanding example. Taiwan's Hsinchu city is famous for its rice noodles. In the 1960s and 70s, nearly every household made noodles by hand, but the industry slowly faded away due to the complex and toilsome nature of the work. In today's feature report on Taiwan's sunset trades, we meet Guo Lianjing and his wife, who are still making the noodles the best way, by hand.
I get up at around 5:30 every morning, between 5 and 5:30. I have to grind the rice every day.
Every day before sunrise, when the street lights are still on, rice noodle store owner Guo Lianjing and his wife are already up and working inside their small factory. The business, with over 100 years of history, was once a popular industry back in the 60s and 70s, as the climate in Hsinchu was very well suited to making rice noodles.
This was called the home of rice noodles. In my grandpa's time, almost every household made them. The only difference is the amounts they made.
Guo Lianjing is the third-generation owner of this rice noodle factory. Having studied interior design when he was young, Guo never thought about taking on the family business.
I have been helping my family to make rice noodles since I was little. It's hard not to help. So everyone my age was quite afraid. Of course, we resisted the idea and didn't want to go home once we left. Later, I thought it was left to me by my grandfather, so I must take on the family business. I haven't changed anything.
The equipment is all inherited from Guo's grandfather and has been around for some 90 years.
Before, we had to use our hands to knead. Now that we have these machines, we use the mold and tube.
If we didn't have this equipment, we would have to knead it like this. It's hard labor. This is roughly 60 kilograms, and it'll take at least half a day to make. People in the old days ate a lot, and we had trouble keeping up to the orders. It was all about manual labor.
When the rice dough is 30% cooked, it is stirred before being pressed into thin slices and rolled up into a cylinder shape, which is then put into the cutting machine to produce thinly threaded rice noodles. The noodles also have to be sun-dried for easy packaging and storage.
30% sun and 70% wind is the best. Our job depends heavily on the weather. On good days, when we have mass production, we get roughly 120 kilograms worth of rice. On bad days, only between 60 to 90 kilograms.
Apart from the weather, there are also birds lining up waiting to try the freshly made noodles.
It gets worse in the afternoon because there would be a line of birds waiting by the rooftops. When we leave, they will come eat the noodles. It's natural food, so the sparrows all really like it. Anything that these animals eat are also edible for humans.
The natural ingredients made in traditional ways always attract the sparrows, but Lin Meijing says the birds can have whatever is left over. The process of making rice noodles is not only difficult, but also takes up human resources and cannot be mass-produced. The once popular industry is now fading away.
There will always be something to do, so I don't worry too much. When we make delicious food, customers will come. We don't try to compete with others and just let it be.
To give customers the best and most traditional rice noodles, despite the heat and sweat in summer, or having to get up early in the cold winter, Guo Lianjing and Lin Meijing are determined to safeguard what their ancestors have left behind and share delicious old-fashioned rice noodles with many others.
Children attending the DaAi Educate Center in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, have been eating vegetarian food at school and at home for a while now. The center also organizes activities to help parents practice a vegetarian lifestyle at home.
Many children do not like the thought of killing animals for people to eat. To care for the earth and protect human health, the 78 children at the DaAi Educate Center in Kuala Lumpur have all committed to eating vegetarian diets.
Our teacher taught us that eating vegetarian food is good for the health and can save animals and the earth. I want to keep this habit and eat many fruits and vegetables.
At the school, children cultivate love and concern not only for other people, but for all life. They also hope their parents and elders will adapt vegetarian diets too.
It's difficult to eat vegetarian at home because our neighbors cook for us. I hope my mum and dad can cook more vegetables for me.
To help, 120 parents have been invited to learn more about vegetarianism so that they know their children are getting enough nutrition and are growing up properly.
Actually, I've been thinking about becoming vegetarian for a while. I just haven't really done it. All I do is eat less meat. After this event today, I'm more determined to become vegetarian.
A pure, compassionate heart with wisdom added orients one towards health and protection of all living things, which can be practiced by adults and children alike.
In fact, many children go home and talk to their parents about not eating poor animals. I think when the children say it many times, the parents start listening to them.
Learning vegetarian ways from a young age with open hearts and pure thoughts, parental support benefits their children and the earth.
When overseas worker Shapali Begum arrived in Malaysia from Bangladesh, she had high hopes of making money to send back to her family. Unfortunately, the young woman suffered 2 strokes that incapacitated her. Tzu Chi volunteers came to her assistance and arranged to get her home.
Feeding the volunteers with cake is Shapali Begum's way of thanking them. In a few hours, she'll be back home with her family in Bangladesh. Although they do not share the same language, the volunteers know how the 36-year-old feels.
She says thank you for all the help she received from everyone.
Shapali came to Malaysia as a migrant worker 3 years ago, but 2 strokes left her disabled. When Tzu Chi volunteers discovered her, they started supporting her and helping arrange for her to go back to Bangladesh.
Because she left her home country to come here so she could help her family have a better life. But unfortunately, who would have guessed she was not in such good health, so she was forced to go back. If we went there to a strange place, we would be frightened and helpless. So we're trying to give her some comfort.
Within a short 2 months, Shapali and the volunteers became like family. This suitcase full of essentials was prepared by them, and even her shoes were a gift.
When we went to the immigration bureau, she couldn't walk in the sandals she was wearing because they kept falling off, so I switched shoes with her. They're just right for her feet. And yes, I wore her shoes.
Being pushed in a wheelchair to the departure gate, although Shapali is travelling alone, she will have the well wishes of the volunteers with her for a swift recovery.
Finally today, the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter organized a workshop for aspiring volunteers from local Chinese communities, sharing with them the NGO's humanistic goals and philosophy. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.